The Amish are absolute legends when it comes to food storage. Their centuries-old insight could fundamentally change the way you look about your pantry. From basic staples like salt to surprise spices that improve with age, these 20 items can outlast your smartphone, car, and possibly even your mortgage. Let's start with the ultimate food survivor, honey. Imagine archaeologists opening ancient Egyptian tombs and finding containers of honey that are still perfectly edible after thousands of years. Thousands! Suddenly, the best buy dates on your grocery store honey seem absurd, don't they? But what is honey's secret? It's simple yet genius. Germs require water to flourish, yet honey contains so much sugar and so little water that bacteria cannot survive. It's like attempting to set up a tent in the middle of the desert. Good luck. In addition, honey has natural preservatives to ensure that nothing interferes with its quality. The Amish discovered honey's superpowers long ago. For them, honey is more than just a sweetener for tea. It's also an ingredient in bread, a sore throat treatment, and the secret ingredient in homemade lotions. While we hurry to purchase a million items, they reach for honey. Genius, right? However, even superheroes have flaws. Honey's kryptonite? Heat. If you leave it in a warm area, it will turn into a sticky science experiment. Keep it cool and dark, and your honey will outlive the gift cards you left in the drawer. Have you got crystallized honey? Do not toss it. Simply reheat the jar in some water, and it's good as new. It's like giving your honey a mini spa day. If honey can survive millennia without modern technology, just wait till you see what the Amish do with fruit and a little aid from the sun. Forget those sugary store-bought raisins. The Amish have been drying fruit for years, transforming fresh produce into nature's candy. No expensive dehydrators, no strange preservatives, just pure flavor. Here's how they do it. They slice apples, peaches, or berries, and arrange them on wooden racks or clean screens, allowing the sun to do its magic. The water gradually evaporates, leaving behind flavors so powerful that your taste buds will do a happy dance. And the best part? Dried fruit retains the majority of its components, making it a natural vitamin with a delicious flavor. The Amish are experts at this. They make delicious apple rings, apricots that taste like candy, and berries that outperform any snack aisle delicacy. Even pears and plums become delightful little taste bombs. But here's the trick. You have to totally dry the fruit. Think leather dry, not just slightly wrinkled. Any remaining moisture is like sending mold an engraved invitation. Once dried, put your fruit in a cool, dark place. Think basement, not sunny windows, and it will last longer than those limited edition goodies accumulating dust in your pantry. What makes dried fruit so amazing? No refrigeration, no preservatives, no problem. Seal in an airtight jar for long-lasting snacks if you can avoid eating them all at once. While honey and dried fruit are nature's preservation MVPs, salt has been keeping food fresh since before the invention of electricity. This mineral has been saving lives for thousands of years, and the Amish know how to use it. While we sprinkle salt on fries, the Amish utilize it to keep their pantries supplied throughout the year. Salt is more than just a flavor enhancer, it is food's guardian. Covering meat or vegetables with salt effectively tells microorganisms, sorry, no room for you here. It's like putting up a large no vacancy sign for anything that could spoil your food. Here's the deal. To preserve 1 pound of meat, use around half a cup of salt. If there isn't enough, microorganisms will disrupt the festivities. If you eat too much, you'll end up guzzling water. What about the Amish? They have mastered the art of balancing. They preserve everything from pork to green beans, transforming simple products into long-term staples. What about salt? It can easily outlast your New Year's resolutions. The best part about salt is that it's like a reliable friend who always has your back. It does not spoil, does not require special storage, and is likely less expensive than the coffee you grabbed this morning. The Amish store their salt in wooden or ceramic containers, protecting it from moisture as if it were a full-time job. But here's the kicker. The Amish don't just take any salt off the shelf, they swear by canning and pickling salt, which is pure sodium chloride with no added ingredients. What about the anti-caking compounds found in common table salt? They can transform your perfectly preserved food into a foggy horror movie disaster. Imagine your vegetables shifting hues as if they were auditioning for a movie. No thank you. You know what goes well with salt in the food preservation game? Dried beans are those little rock-hard nuggets sitting in your pantry, waiting for their day to shine. While honey remains sweet indefinitely and salt keeps everything fresh, beans are the ultimate marathon runners of the culinary world. The Amish have been cracking the bean code for decades. These small powerhouses can last forever and contain enough protein to make even the meatiest recipes envy. Fun fact: individuals discovered dried beans at old Amish homesteads that were still perfectly edible after 50 years. Yes, beans older than most parents were eager to dive into a pot of soup. Suddenly, those expired beans in your pantry resemble toddlers, don't they? Here's how the Amish do it. They store their beans in airtight containers in a cool, dry location, thereby providing them 5-star treatment without the high expense. These sturdy little fellas don't need a fridge, they're content at ambient temperature. However, the magic occurs when you immerse them. Overnight, these hard, pebble-like seeds morph into plump, delicate morsels that can absorb whatever flavor you throw at them. It's like the ultimate culinary makeover with no high-tech equipment necessary. The Amish even say, "A pantry without beans is like a winter without a coat." You might survive, but why make life more difficult than it needs to be? They add beans to soups, stews, and salads, or cook them with salt pork for a hearty supper that will keep you going all day, barn raising and all. If beans are your pantry's marathon champions, rice is the perfect training partner for them. This simple grain has been sustaining humanity for centuries, and the Amish treat it as if it were the MVP. Why? Because rice is essentially the food world's superhero it refuses to give up. Here's a surprising fact. Properly maintained white rice can linger in your pantry for nearly 25 years. That's right. Your rice could outlast your child's first car and still be ready to jump into a pot of boiling water. While we fret over the expiration dates of instant meals, rice is simply chilling in its container, laughing at the concept of time. The Amish keep rice stored in airtight containers in a cold, dry location. No fancy vacuum-sealed containers or expensive storage solutions are necessary. Simply give rice its own little fortress of solitude and you're set to go. Why is rice such a survival staple? It's all about being pleasantly boring. White rice contains no rancid oils or moisture to attract mold, only clean, basic carbohydrates that go about their work. It's the dependable friend who never creates trouble. Brown rice, on the other hand, seeks to impress with added nutrients. But what about the extra nutrients in brown rice? They cause it to spoil faster. Sometimes simple is best. The Amish use white rice like a culinary Swiss Army knife. Having beans for dinner, rice is added to make it a complete meal. Any leftover chicken, rice transforms it into a feast. Have you harvested vegetables from your garden? Rice says, "Throw them in." It's the perfect pantry team player, adding bulk to any meal without taking center stage. Speaking of cupboard basics that make everything better, let's speak about sugar, another white crystal that isn't salt. Sugar is like your kitchen's immortal vampire, but with a lot sweeter personality and no aversion to garlic. The Amish have been collecting this wonderful thing for years, knowing it will endure longer than most family feuds. Fun fact, sugar was once so valuable that it was practically used as cash. Consider paying your debts with a bag of sugar today. Sorry, landlord, but would you like 5 pounds of sweets instead of rent this month? While the Amish enjoy their sweets, they don't just conserve sugar for morning coffee, it's their secret weapon for preserving almost every fruit they cultivate. Have too many strawberries? Sugar them. Are peaches turning soft? Sugar to the rescue! It's like having a preservation superhero who also improves the taste of everything. A true win-win situation. The coolest aspect is that sugar not only preserves food, but also itself. You might keep sugar in your great-grandmother's ancient ceramic jar, and as long as you keep it dry, it will still be sweet when your great-grandchildren discover it. No expiration date is required. The only thing that can interfere with sugar? Moisture. That turns it into a rock-hard brick, and you find yourself chiseling at it like an archaeologist. The Amish prevent this calamity by storing sugar in sealed canisters that keep it cool and dry. There's no need for sophisticated technologies or expensive storage solutions, just good old-fashioned common sense. And unlike those fashionable organic non-GMO triple filtered sweeteners that cost a fortune, normal sugar remains wonderfully sweet and shelf stable indefinitely. If sugar is the king of sweet preservation, wheat berries, its whole grain counterpart, are the emperor of survival food. These tiny kernels have been nourishing civilizations since far before humans began writing things down. Wheat berries have been discovered in ancient Egyptian tombs, still sprouting after thousands of years. Try getting that much longevity from your breakfast cereal. The Amish adore wheat berries similarly to how we treat smartphones. They can't imagine living without them. And with good reason. These tiny powerhouses resemble a supermarket store in a single kernel. They are the original whole grain long before marketing professionals slapped the phrase onto cereal boxes. Wheat berries are the best survival meal because they are nutritionally equivalent to Russian nesting dolls. When you open one, you'll find layers of fiber, protein, vitamins, and minerals wrapped up in a package that could last longer than your mortgage. The Amish grind wheat berries into fresh flour whenever they need it, so their bread is packed with nutrients, unlike the sad manufactured loaves that accumulate dust at the grocery store. But what about wheat berries? They require more attention than other pantry essentials. Consider them the divas of the grain world. First, they require beauty sleep in a cool, dark environment. Then they insist on having their own airtight container, which might be plastic, metal, or glass. They don't care about the container, only the seal. Whatever you do, avoid exposing wheat berries to moisture. With only 1 drop of water, you might as well invite everyone to a mold block party. What about the Amish? They have perfected the art of wheat storage. These little nutrition bombs are packed in huge food-grade buckets, frequently with oxygen absorbers for added safety. It's like designing a luxury suite for grains, but without the hotel service. The kicker is that when properly stored, wheat berries can last for decades. Imagine your grandchildren baking bread from the same batch you purchased today. Want to give it a try? Begin small, grab a couple pounds, place them in sealed containers, and keep them somewhere cool and dry. Think basement, not bathroom dampness. Use food-safe containers. Old paint buckets will not suffice. If you're feeling fancy, add some oxygen absorbers and voila! You have a food supply that can withstand almost anything. But what's bread without something sour to go with it? Enter the next preservation superstar, apple cider vinegar, ACV, a sour taste that has kept food fresh since before refrigerators existed. The Amish call it their liquid problem solver, and it's simple to see why. While other vinegars play supporting roles, ACV is the undisputed star of fermented foods. This substance is useful for more than just preserving. Got any vegetables to pickle? ACV has got your back. Need to clean a dirty counter? ACV to the rescue. Feeling under the weather? The Amish might give you a spoonful, but you'll probably want to follow it with some of that endless honey we mentioned earlier. Here's the wild part. ACV is almost immortal. It's already fermented, so it arrived pre-spoiled on purpose. It's the Benjamin Button of pantry essentials, improving with age rather than worsening. There's no need for refrigeration or elaborate packaging. Simply store it in a cold, dark place. Tighten the cap. No one likes a vinegar-scented closet, and you're done. The Amish often store theirs in glass bottles or porcelain crocks, showing the centuries-old preservation method the respect it deserves. Fair warning, not all ACVs are created equal. The Amish make theirs the traditional way, complete with the mother, that hazy thing floating around that may appear suspicious but is actually the secret to its charm. It's similar to a sourdough starter for vinegar, full of beneficial bacteria, ready to work marvels. But if you think ACV is flexible, wait till you hear how the Amish transform ordinary tomatoes into sunshine in a jar. While we're paying high prices for store-bought canned tomatoes, the Amish are on their porches, turning their summer harvest into year-round happiness. It's as if they found out how to capture August in a mason jar. Now you might be thinking, tomatoes? What is the big deal? In an Amish cooking, tinned tomatoes are the Swiss Army knife of ingredients. Is your soup feeling bland? Toss in canned tomatoes. Is stew looking sad? Tomatoes to the rescue. Need a fast sauce? These canned red beauties will save your meal faster than you can order takeout. The Amish way to canning tomatoes is brilliant. They don't squander any sun-ripened fruit. When summer arrives and tomato vines literally toss their produce at you, Amish kitchens become preservation centers. Every tomato that is not eaten fresh is destined for a jar, much like a witness protection program shielding people from the harsh realities of winter. Don't worry, the science is straightforward. Tomatoes are small nutritional powerhouses, high in vitamins A and C, as well as lycopene. And here's an interesting fact: when tomatoes are canned, lycopene concentrations... That's right, these jars aren't just useful, they're also becoming more healthy as they wait for their big moment. It's as if they're working out in storage and becoming healthier for you. The Amish are experts at this. They pluck their tomatoes when they're perfectly ripe, so red they'd make a fire truck envy. Then they carefully wash and prepare them, sometimes leaving them whole, sometimes chopping them up, depending on their intended purpose. Because who knows what you'll need in the future? The tomatoes are placed in clean jars, along with just the perfect amount of lemon juice to keep everything safe and delicious. The procedure has the feel of a flawlessly choreographed dance, developed over decades of practice. Storage, that is where the Amish become serious. These jars of summer's harvest are carefully stored in cool, dark areas, typically in a cellar or pantry that maintains a consistent temperature. When properly stored, these sunshine jars can survive 3 to 5 years. However, let's be honest, they're unlikely to last that long. Their acidic tomatoey sweetness fades by the end of winter. Speaking of winter comfort foods, let's move on to another Amish pantry staple, cornmeal. You might recognize it as the yellow gunk hiding in the back of your cupboard, ready for its annual cornbread appearance. Cornmeal, on the other hand, is a pantry staple for the Amish that lasts virtually forever. While many of us are preoccupied with dietary fads, the Amish have remained faithful to this ancient grain, which Native Americans converted into magic. Cornmeal, when properly preserved, can endure for decades. And that's right, the cornmeal in your Amish neighbor's cupboard could be older than their youngest child, but it's still ready to cook up something tasty. Meanwhile, your pricey organic quinoa is rolling its eyes and sprouting bugs 6 months later. Cornmeal, it's mocking Father Time, cementing its status as the Betty White of pantry staples. Age just makes it cooler. When it comes to cornmeal storage, the Amish are serious. They store it tightly in glass jars, food-grade buckets, or vacuum-sealed bags if they're feeling modern. The golden rule? Keep it bone dry and cool, just like an antique, except this antique can sustain your family for several months. Cornmeal is the food world's chameleon, and this is where it truly shines. It is used by the Amish for everything, including breakfast, dinner, and dessert. Morning cornmeal mush? Check. Crispy fried chicken coating? You bet. The finest cornbread this side of heaven? That is essentially cornmeal's middle name. Oh, and there's a plot twist. It's also the secret weapon for making the ideal crispy-bottomed handmade pizza. Who knew? Cornmeal has deep roots, too. Native Americans were grinding corn long before Columbus landed on the wrong continent. When European settlers arrived, they quickly recognized that this golden grain was something exceptional. With their emphasis on sustainable, no-fuss living, the Amish took one look at cornmeal and declared, "Now this is our jam," and it's been a pantry staple ever since. Do you want to know the real reason of cornmeal's remarkable shelf life? It's all about the grind. The Amish prefer stone-ground cornmeal because of its greater flavor and natural oils. However, for long-term storage, they prefer degerminated cornmeal, a stripped-down form that lasts indefinitely. Sure, it's a little less nutritious, but when you're planning for the long term, harsh decisions are unavoidable. If you thought cornmeal was incredible, wait until you see how the Amish preserve meat without using a single watt of energy. That's right, it's time to discuss their meat preservation superpower. While the rest of us are freaking out about leaving chicken out for more than 2 hours, the Amish are quietly withdrawing year-old canned beef, chicken, or pork off their shelves like it's no big deal. And let's be clear, we're not talking about those awful cans of mystery meat at the grocery store. Amish canned beef is more like preserving a Sunday roast in a jar, perfectly soft, juicy, and ready to elevate any recipe. Each jar is like a time capsule of freshness, packed with care by someone who understands that this meal could save a life in the future. Here's the kicker. Properly canned meat can last for 3 to 5 years on the shelf. That's correct. While you play freezer Tetris every week, they're sitting pretty with shelf-stable protein that requires no electricity. Is it too wet? And you are inviting mold to the party. Is it too dry? There's less jerky and more leather. but if you get it just right, you'll have a protein-packed snack that's ideal for long travels, quick lunches, or simply staving off hunger while laboring in the fields or binge watching your favorite show. Storage? The Amish are on it. Properly dried jerky is stored in airtight containers, frequently with silica gel packets or vacuum sealing to preserve it fresh over time. Amish jerky is made to last, whether it's packaged in mason jars, resealable bags, or wrapped in parchment for easy grab and go. But let us be clear, this is not just survival food. It's a snack that tastes like it came from a gourmet smokehouse rather than a gas station shelf. Each taste reflects the care and tradition that went into its preparation, from the precisely balanced seasoning to the long drying process. And if you're surprised by how versatile jerky is, remember this: the Amish don't eat it straight, they crumble it into soups, add it to stews, and sometimes rehydrate it for casseroles. It's like having a flavor bomb on hand, ready to elevate any dish. But let's not stop at jerky. The Amish have mastered yet another age-old preservation technology that outperforms even the most advanced contemporary methods. Fermentation. From sauerkraut to pickles to homemade yogurt, the Amish have a talent for transforming fresh food and dairy into sour, probiotic-rich mainstays that not only last but also taste delicious. While most of us are trying to figure out what kombucha is, they are fermenting everything under the sun as if it were no great issue. Take sauerkraut as an example. It's more than just a hot dog topping in Amish country. It's a way of life. It only needs fresh cabbage, a little salt, and some patience to make this sour, crispy, vitamin-packed miracle. Sauerkraut, stored in ceramic crocks or glass jars, can survive for months, adding a sense of summer to even the coldest winter days. And then there are pickles. The Amish turned pickling into an art form, preserving everything from cucumbers to green beans to watermelon rinds. What's their secret? A properly balanced brine, frequently laced with dill, garlic, or spices, and a cool, dark environment to allow the magic to unfold. Fermentation is more than just preserving food for the Amish. It also preserves tradition. Every batch has the flavors of generations, as well as the practical lessons gained from living simply and sustainably. Whether it's tangy sauerkraut, smoky jerky, or a jar of bright, sun-ripened tomatoes, the Amish have demonstrated unequivocally that food preservation is both an art and a science. It demonstrates the power of invention, resourcefulness, and environmental stewardship. So the next time you're peering into your overstuffed cupboard, wondering how you'll ever use everything before it spoils, keep in mind that the Amish have lived without refrigerators, freezers, or sophisticated devices for decades. Not only are they thriving, but they are doing it with food that is fresher, tastier, and lasts longer than anything found in a box or sack. Simple ingredients, time-tested procedures, zero waste. That's the Amish method, and it's a lesson we may all take away, whether we're preparing for winter or simply trying to make the most of what we have. When the Amish can fruit, they are not just preserving food, but also bottling happiness. Imagine biting into a peach in mid-January that tastes like it was just harvested from the tree. That is the wonder of Amish canned fruit. Peaches, pears, apples, and cherries, anything that grows can be canned. While the rest of us are picking up overly sweetened, mushy fruit from shop shelves, the Amish are keeping the real thing. Perfectly ripe, hand-picked fruit with just enough natural sweetness to make your taste buds sing. Here's the secret. It all comes down to timing. The Amish harvest their fruit at its full ripeness, that wonderful time when it's brimming with taste and nutrition. The fruit is then washed, peeled if necessary, and packed into jars with a mild syrup or water, depending on the type of fruit. There's no high fructose corn syrup or artificial preservatives here, just nature's candy, treated with respect. The canning process is both science and art. The fruit-filled jars are sealed and processed in a water bath or pressure canner to assure their safety and long-term preservation. What was the result? Fruit that has been perfectly preserved can last for 1 to 2 years, but it rarely lasts that long since it is simply too sweet. But it's not just about eating it directly out of the jar, though that is an experience in and of itself. Amish canned fruit is flexible. It's used in pies, cobblers, jams, and even as a topping for pancakes. Even the syrup becomes a cupboard staple, serving as a sweetener in baking and a foundation for sauces. And don't forget about apples, the star of Amish fruit preservation. They don't stop with canning slices. They make apple butter, applesauce, dried apple rings, and even apple cider vinegar. Remember the wonder liquid. It's as if they're on a mission to make sure no apple is wasted. Storage, it's essential. Amish canned fruit, like their other preserved foods, is stored in cold, dark settings to ensure quality. Root cellars, pantries, and basements transform into treasure troves of colored jars arranged neatly like culinary rainbows, each one a reminder of summer sunlight ready to be relished throughout the chilly months. And if you think canned fruit is great, wait till you hear how the Amish handle another pantry staple that lasts forever and improves every dish it touches: spices and herbs. The Amish are quite knowledgeable about spices. They understand that properly dried and kept herbs and spices are critical for transforming simple components into outstanding dishes. From cultivated basil and thyme to foraged wild garlic, they dry, crush, and store their seasonings in airtight containers, ensuring that they remain fresh and aromatic for years. While we're out here buying pricey pre-ground spices that lose flavor before we get halfway through the bottle, the Amish mill theirs fresh with tools passed down through generations. It's about more than simply flavor. It's about keeping traditions alive and making every meal seem special, even if it's just a bowl of oats. What is the lesson here? The Amish conserve not only food, but also joy, flavor, and the art of living simply and well. Every jar, sack, and meticulously sealed container serves as a reminder that, with a little care and a lot of love, we can transform the ordinary into the extraordinary and preserve it for future generations. Coconut oil, however, is not a passing fad among the Amish. It is a pantry staple with superpowers. While the rest of us are trying to stay up with the latest cooking oils, they are patiently scooping out this long-lasting miracle that can compete with time itself. Get this. Properly preserved coconut oil can endure for several years. That's right, while you're throwing out rancid canola oil from the back of your pantry, the Amish are still using coconut oil from years ago without a problem. It's like the Benjamin Button of pantry items, it simply refuses to age. So, what makes coconut oil so popular in Amish kitchens? It's all about adaptability. This isn't simply for frying chicken or baking pie crust, though it does both quite well. Coconut oil has multiple purposes, including moisturizer, hair treatment, foundation for homemade soap, and even a remedy for cuts and burns. Seriously, it's like the Swiss Army knife of oils. The Amish value coconut oil not only for its health advantages, but also for its usefulness. Its high shelf life is due to science. Coconut oil is naturally stable, and its high saturated fat content makes it resistant to oxidation. Translation: it does not go bad easily. Coconut oil can last for years if stored in a cold, dark place in a properly sealed container. But here's the true secret for the Amish. Coconut oil is more than a convenience, it's a commitment to sustainability. They save energy and space by utilizing non-refrigerated oil, which is ideal for their modest, off-the-grid existence. And if you believe coconut oil is only for the kitchen, think again. Amish families use it to condition cast iron skillets, polish wood furniture, and even treat dry skin and squeaky hinges. It's as if they've discovered the cheat code for practical living. What's the key takeaway? The Amish approach to food storage and preparation is more than just making things last. It's about making the most of what they have, whether it's transforming fresh summer fruit into a winter joy, pickling garden vegetables into tangy delicacies, or keeping a container of coconut oil on hand to address 100 different issues. They've mastered the art of simplicity, efficiency, and timeless flavor. And if you think that's impressive, wait till you hear how the Amish transform common grains into pantry staples that can withstand your next road trip. Spoiler alert, it includes grinding, storing, and baking techniques that would make your great-grandparents proud. The Amish approach tea in a way that is both practical and comfortable. While many of us think of tea as just a hot drink, the Amish see it as a key component of wellness, a communal heritage, and a pantry powerhouse. They've elevated tea to an art form of simplicity and purpose, with each cup providing more than simply flavor. It can bring reminiscence, serenity, or even a little pharmaceutical treatment when needed. The true genius: their storage and preparation processes ensure that each leaf and mix remain as fresh and flavorful as the day they were stored. It's a habit rooted, pun intended, in both practicality and appreciation for nature's bounty. But if you think the Amish tea stash is remarkable, wait until you see how they handle another grocery staple, flour. It's more than just baking bread. It's about building a stockpile that can last the test of time, sustain families for generations, and transform the most basic ingredients into delectable masterpieces. Please let me know if you'd want to learn more about Amish grain and flour storage techniques. They're legendary. The Amish approach to food preservation is nothing short of culinary genius, combining practicality with timeless. They've mastered the art of storing and preserving ingredients thanks to their precise practices, ensuring that their pantry is not only stocked for the moment, but also ready for years ahead. From jars of bone broth and homemade soup that serve as ready-made dinners to spices that only get better with age, every step of their process is a testament to sustainability and quality. Their preservation methods result in a system that functions similarly to a living pantry, with each jar and spice serving as a time capsule of flavor, nourishment, and comfort. They preserve more than simply food. They also preserve memories, wisdom, and a time-tested way of life. What was the result? A pantry stocked with liquid gold and vital commodities that are as dependable as they are tasty. Whether it's a can of soup to keep you warm on a chilly winter day or a spice blend to add depth to a basic recipe, the Amish know how to transform ordinary items into incredible treasures that last a lifetime. If you're ready to incorporate some of these methods into your own kitchen, you'll not only be stockpiling food, but also connecting with generations of wisdom and culinary innovation that will make every meal feel like it came directly from the heart of the Amish tradition. The Amish approach to food preservation is an art form that blends pragmatism, tradition, and a deep appreciation for the natural cycles of food. By storing handmade soups, spices, and even honey, they develop a system that extends the shelf life of their food, guaranteeing that their pantries are stocked not only today, but also for years to come. Amish soups. What distinguishes Amish soups is their use of fresh, homegrown ingredients such as bone broth, vegetables, beans, and preserved meats. They don't just create soup, they do it with precision and care, frequently employing a pressure canning procedure that keeps the soup fresh for 3 to 5 years. It's more than just food preservation. It's about making meals that will sustain you over the winter months when fresh ingredients are rare. When the cold weather arrives, all you have to do is open a jar of soup and heat it up, creating a delicious ready-to-eat supper that tastes like it came right from your grandmother's kitchen. Spices that improve with age. The Amish understand how to keep spices so that they truly improve over time. Whole spices are stored in sealed containers away from heat, moisture, and light, preserving their full flavor. Cinnamon, cardamom, and star anise grow like great wine, becoming more aromatic and strong with age. The Amish ground these whole spices as needed, ensuring that the flavors are always at their best when used. This method not only preserves the spices, but also gives a touch of refinement to even the most basic foods. A teaspoon of cinnamon may transform a bowl of rice and beans into an unforgettable 5-star supper. Preservation beyond food. This emphasis on preservation is more than just keeping food fresh. It is also about connecting with the past, passing down knowledge through generations, and ensuring that families are prepared for the future. The Amish create a treasure trove of flavors that last the test of time, providing both a practical food storage solution and a link to a rich culinary legacy. In essence, the Amish can serve more than simply food. They also maintain a way of life. They use procedures that may outlive even diamonds to ensure that every meal is full of flavor, comfort, and history. And if you want to recreate a portion of it, all you need is some know-how, time, and a decent